Turning now to other news, Pope Francis has touched down in Iraq to urge the country's dwindling number of Christians to stay put and help rebuild that country after years of war and persecution. I'm joined now by Father Michael Bechard to help discuss this. He's the pastor of Christ the King University Parish at King's University College in London. Good morning. So nice to see you. It's been a while.
Hey, good morning. It's really good to see you too.
All right. How significant is this trip for the Pope to be making right now?
I think it's hugely significant. The Christian church in Iraq traces its origins back to missionary activity by St. Peter, middle part of the first century. But what we've seen happening in the last 100 years is that the number of Christians in Iraq has dwindled from about 20% 100 years ago to less than 4% today. So the Pope is really kind of going there to support the Christian community, to build them up, to remind them that they're not alone, and to encourage them in the rebuilding of the Christian church in that area.
What about fears and concerns for the Pope's safety as he makes that visit?
You know, I think the Pope is always a target. I mean, we saw the assassination attempt on Pope John Paul II back in the latter part of the last century. And I think, security concerns, we know when he came here to Canada back in 2002 were very high. I think we can only imagine what some of the security protocols are right now for him visiting the Middle East. I think, there's all kinds of behind the scenes conversations that take place when the Pope travels outside of the country. So, I mean, you can be really sure and very certain that the Holy See or the Vatican has been working really closely with the government of Iraq to make sure that he's as safe as possible.
And what about concerns around COVID-19? What can you tell us about keeping the Pope safe in that regard when it comes to his health, wearing a mask, and those around him?
I think one of the things that the Pope has done, especially in the last few weeks, is that he's been speaking out quite adamantly with great strength, talking about the moral obligation that we have to receive the vaccine, to be masked. He talks about it as being kind of an issue of charity and justice, that we do everything that we can to protect our brothers and sisters, especially those who are most vulnerable. And of course, we know that being now in his early 80s, Pope Francis is one of those people that are vulnerable. We do know that the vaccinations began to become rolled out in St. Peter's or at the Vatican just a few weeks ago. We see the Pope getting on the plane today masked, and we see him addressing the assembly masked as well. So I think COVID is also very much in the forefront today.
Yes, indeed. And just one last question then about the influence he will have on this trip and perhaps others in the future. Do you think that when it comes to Iraq that he could actually inspire more Christians to return to their home country?
You know, I would hope that he would inspire some Christians to return to their home country. I think more importantly, I hope that he's able to reach out and to inspire those that are currently living there. I mean, we see consistently in Pope Francis's pontificate this desire to be a pastor, especially for those who are on the margins. You know, the poor, the needy, the vulnerable. And the Christian church is horribly persecuted in the Middle East. And I think while we don't want to talk about that very often because of our own kind of colonial legacy, there have been countless martyrs. And we see Christians in the Middle East suffering in terms of employment and education and really just kind of basic survival. So I hope that the message of kind of peace and justice will not only inspire the Christians, but also encourage the Muslim community in that area to treat them with dignity and respect.
Father Michael Bechard, great to see you. Thanks so much.
Good seeing you too. Thank you.